Hey you guys, it's Brian. We're back with another quick video. This one I just want to share with you a discovery that I made, which is the test that the universe is going to throw at you to determine whether or not you're ready to ascend into a higher dimension. And so this has to do with freedom and play. So what I mean by this is that children, when they're young, they don't have many responsibilities. They have the freedom to go outside and play, to experiment, to not be bound by any sort of rules or regulations. This is why you see kids sometimes climbing on trees and getting into trouble. What we perceive to be trouble, because we create these rules about what it is that we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. And so as a result of living by these rules, we don't allow ourselves to play as adults. We don't have the freedom to just experiment and be like, oh, what happens if I do this? I wonder what will happen, right? To allow our curiosity to come forth. Because that's what keeps us young. That's what keeps us happy. That's what keeps us loving life. When we lose our sense of curiosity and we're always living life by these rules and regulations, then life becomes meaningless. Life becomes boring. It's like being a cog in a machine, right? You're just part of a system. And you don't have any freedom to really enjoy the thing that you're doing because you already know how it's all going to play out. You know what your role is, and you're forced into it. So you don't feel free. There's no sense of freedom. There's no sense of play. And if you're facing that in your life right now, maybe there's a certain situation, you don't feel as though you have freedom. You feel as though you always have to be bound by certain rules or regulations. That is actually your test as to whether or not you'll be able to ascend into a higher dimension. Because in the moment that you are now, you're experiencing those situations because you allow yourself to. What I mean by this is that you've basically made a compromise. You're saying, I will compromise my freedom in exchange for something else. So you may compromise your freedom for, let's say, a job, an income. You may compromise your freedom so that you can be in a relationship with someone. You may compromise your freedom so that you don't offend others around you and ruin your reputation. So you're compromising all these things, right? Your reputation, being in a relationship, and having a stable job in exchange for your freedom. So it's almost as though freedom is the most powerful type of currency there actually is. Because you trade your freedom in order to have all these things. It's almost like you're buying them from the universe, right? I'm going to buy a job by trading in some of my freedom. I'm going to buy a relationship by trading in some of my freedom. Not realizing that your true power comes from your freedom. So the more freedom you have, the greater your worth is in the eyes of the universe. Because nothing can tie you down. You have the freedom to choose what you want to do. And if something doesn't resonate with you, then you can move on. So that's where the fear comes from. Because we compromise and we have all these things, not realizing that our true worth comes from our own personal freedom. So if you're ever in a situation where you feel like, oh, I'm stuck where I am and I don't like it, I'd rather have something else, but at the same time I feel trapped, it's because you're trading away your own personal freedom. It's like a choice whether or not you buy something from the store. It's your money. No one's forcing you to buy something. You're the one that chooses whether or not to buy it. Whether or not that thing holds enough value for you to trade your money, your freedom, for what it is that you're after. So from my experience, it's better not to get into any sort of contracts. It's better not to get into anything that would stifle your freedom. If you do compromise on your freedom, it should not limit what you can or can't do. And if you go by this principle, I've gone by this principle, it's worked wonders in my life. I used to think that I had to compromise. I used to think that I had to play by the rules of society, and I was always miserable. Then I stopped playing by the rules of society, right? I let my hair grow long. I got this nice little ponytail up here. Started dressing the way I wanted to. Started, making videos in the wild. I don't really care who looks at me, who doesn't. I stopped playing by the rules. And here I am now. I've achieved freedom in my life. Is it total freedom? Of course not. I'm still working on it every single day, just as you are. But I'd say I'm free from many of the shackles that most people complain about in their life, who claim they have no freedom, not realizing that the power comes from within. So don't compromise your freedom unless it's something that you really resonate with. That's my message for you today. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. Peace and love to all of you, and I'll see you in the next video.